to review Season 7, Episode 1 of HBO's fantasy drama, Game of Thrones. Oh my god, that was such a long wait, and I'm so glad this show is finally back. It took so long, it felt like forever. But with that being said, let's talk about the episode, which I enjoyed very, very much. It put all the pieces in place to really blow off what should be an action-packed season. Now, let's start off with the beginning of the episode. They had an actual opening before the title sequence, which they don't do very often. I'm not gonna laugh. That used to weird me out when I first started that show because I watched The Walking Dead and they always had an opening before the theme. But, anyways, fuck, dude, this was a great moment. It felt so good, especially when you've been watching the show and you know the Red Wedding. Just like Walder Frey getting killed in the finale last season was so rewarding because, like, fuck that dude, you know? And then finally see all his family, all the fuckers that killed the Starks get wiped out to him, they're all gone, was awesome. Great opening. And just makes me fall in love with Arya more. I love Arya. Arya is a great character. She's had some of the best storylines in the show. 5 and 6, yeah, might have been a little slow, but the payoff was so worth it as she got revenge for House Stark. And then, okay, now past the opening, let's get to the north. And we see Jon and Sansa having a bit of a... Sansa seems not to be too happy with Jon being the king of the north. And she thinks that he's a little naive, which I understand. Jon is much like his father and his brother. But when it came to taking the Karstark and the Umber's homes away, I was on his side there. If you have to let them keep that and just try to get them on your side, if you take that away from them, you're going to create more resentment from the Karstarks and the Umbers towards the Starks. And then you're going to have human enemies. At this point with the Night King right there, you don't want more human enemies than you already have. Because the Night King's right there. And Jon shouldn't, in my opinion, should not be worrying about Cersei right now. Cersei's going to be preoccupied with Daenerys anyways, and the Night King is right there. So Sansa has definitely grown. She is smarter, but in this case, I think Jon is right. But speaking of Sansa, the way she's grown is... I don't know if you guys noticed, her hairstyle is a lot like Cersei Lannister's in previous seasons. But that emotional trauma has really developed her character. She used to be a very naive girl with grandeurs of knights and shining armor and being a princess and having all these princes and princesses. And she's smart now. She knows how to play the game. She's learned from the worst people in this show, the baddest people, and learn the way they manipulate. Peter Baelish, Cersei Lannister. I'm not going to say Joffrey. Joffrey's just a cunt, but she's learned from those two a lot, and it's helped her become smarter and more aware of how the world actually is and how corrupt it actually really is, and that nothing is good. Everybody has their own agenda, and she knows that with Baelish. Now, she knows him well enough that he doesn't really mean good. There's always a personal goal that Littlefinger's trying to get to, and she acknowledges that. So she's like, "Well, you gonna say something clever?" And Baelish, after watching that first episode, I think he will die this season, which I'm not gonna lie, kind of bums me out. He's not a favorite character. The guy's a villain for sure, but he's a very fascinating character. And then we got Sam in the Citadel, which that scene went on a little too long, to be honest. It was funny for a second at first, but went on a little too long. But really, that's not a huge issue. I mean, I feel like with all they have to do this season, that time could have been spent a little better. But the scene with Sam and the Archmaester and how he actually believes Sam was great. I really like that. Not everybody's all like, dude, you're full of shit. Like, no. Because you made a good point. Like, if you're so obsessed with it. If you're talking about it, then you're not lying, which makes sense. But we got that weird Ed Sheeran cameo, which I don't hate as much as other people do. Um, yeah, it was a little weird that they kept the camera on his face, but he didn't really ruin the scene. He didn't say much, and all he did was really sing for a minute, and that was about it. But no, he didn't really ruin that scene for me. But that vision, I forgot about that. That vision in the beginning after the opening of the Night King and the Army of the Dead was fucking cool, dude. Like, I got chilled. I was nervous. I was like whenever the White Walkers show up in this show, I'm intimidated. Their music, that like I don't know how to do it, but it sounds cool, right? Like icy and just the feeling of dread it fills you with when you hear their music, and then the wind come up and you slowly just see the outline of the Night King on his horse coming out of the storm. That was cool. And then you just see the army come from behind once you can fully see them, and then you can see one just ice giant, this like a dead ice giant. And the cool part is it's not just him. You can see the outline of two other giants in the back. I was like, oh shit, dude, like. I mean, I think the only thing that could take down the Ice Giants is Daenerys' dragon, which brings us to the payoff with the Sam stuff. Even though I liked it personally. I don't really have a problem, but the revelation that Dragonstone has glass, I wouldn't say it's convenient because, I mean, it makes sense. Places on a bunch of stones, you mine from places like that. So, but I was wondering, how are they gonna beat them, and how is Daenerys gonna meet with Jon? Because they gotta have something that Jon needs. Otherwise, the meeting just seemed forced, and now that makes sense. They're gonna go to Dragonstone for the Dragon Glass. Jon's gonna tell Daenerys what the fuck is up, and maybe they'll deal with the Lannisters first, and then they'll go up north. Who knows? But I like that. That's gonna bring these two characters finally together. Because that took a long time, and it's going to be great to see that. And the Hound was one of my favorite parts of this episode. This character has come so far. I personally have never hated the character of the Hound. Like some people, he was full on villain with some people, and some people hated him. But I always found, even in the first season, there was always the hints of the Hound not being a totally bad person. Yeah, he killed Micah. Yeah, he's kind of a douchebag. But you could tell that he had resentment towards Joffrey in the first season. And that he was just doing what he was supposed to do. And he hates his brother, and his brother's an asshole. And then in the second season, I think you see Sansa's getting beat, and the Hound looks away. But you really started to see the Hound in season 3 when he, becomes, season 4 with the thing with Arya, and we start to see the Hound change, and then we finally catch up back with him in season 6. And the character is changed massively, because the Hound is a much better person now. The character has gone through so much that when he finds those bodies of the father and the daughter, that he actually feels guilty. And at the time, he didn't care when he robbed those people in, I believe, the 3rd or 4th season. But now when he go in there, he felt somewhat responsible for that, because he told Arya that they would die in the winter anyway, so just take it. But maybe they wouldn't have if he hadn't done that. And it just shows that the character himself has changed very much. And, that's good to see. And it was a very heartwarming scene, or very well-performed scene by Rory. I think that's the name of the actor is. And I look forward to Beric Dondarrion was pretty cool in this episode too. But I look forward to see what the Hound is going to do. And it's all coming together. Dany, the Hound, Jon, everybody's going to meet at some point. It's going to be cool. And I forgot to mention Euron. Euron Greyjoy went to Cersei, who is looking for allies. So earlier in the episode, her and Jaime were talking like, we're surrounded by enemies on all sides. All my kids are dead. We got to do something. And she's like, we the phrase, they're dead. We can't, But here comes along Euron, and I love Euron. Okay, he came in season 6, right? And I didn't dislike Euron. He was just there, and he was gonna have a part to play, but he didn't have a huge role in season 6. His role is saved for this season, and we got to see more of the man. And I like him. He is a little crazy. He's kind of funny. That's bad to say, but the dude's kind of funny. But he brings a deal to Cersei, 1,000 ships for your hand. And they're like, dude, no, we can't trust you. You've broken promises with us before. Apparently, Euron burned their fleet, I think, during Robert's Rebellion. Was it Robert's? No, it was the Greyjoy's rebellion against Robert. But she's like, all right, okay, I understand that. So he's going to go get a gift for Cersei to show his honest intentions. I don't know what that is. I've heard rumors of a dragon or something to do with the dragon. I don't know what's up with that. But I'm very interested to see what that gift is, because if it's a dragon, I want to know how the fuck that's going to happen. That's crazy. But, yeah, and then I'd also like to point out something else with Jon Snow that I found interesting. Why he was so adamant on not making, he said that he did not want the kids to pay for the sins of the father. I found that interesting because it comes from an emotional and personal place with him, because he paid for the mistakes, at least from his perspective. We know that he's not Ned Stark's son, but he paid for the mistakes of being Ned Stark's bastard, of Ned Stark bringing home this kid that wasn't his. Eventually he'll learn about his real lineage, but from his point of view, he thinks he paid for the mistakes of his father, which he kind of did, but yet he does not know his real lineage. So it's wait to be seen. And finally, I feel like I've been talking forever. I hope I didn't bore you guys, but the best part, not the best, I think the best, most rewarding part, after 6 seasons of build-up, Daenerys stepping onto that soil and picking it up was goosebumps. Goosebumps. I mean, and then the fact that there was no silence to just take in the moment, that was perfect. I mean, and it was great. It was earned. It was earned. Is what I'm trying. A lot of TV shows do all this, all that, and then it feels cheap. It doesn't feel earned. But this did, and her walking in, seeing her ancestral home, and her walking right past that throne, and then going into the room where Stannis playing the Battle of Blackwater, and just saying, "Shall we begin?" She doesn't want that chair; she wants the Iron Throne. And I mean, what a premiere! I know some people don't like it, but I mean, I don't understand why. They're expecting huge stuff they saw in the trailer right in the first episode. No, that's obviously not gonna happen in the first episode. If you thought that, I'm sorry. You're kind of dumb. You can't do The Walking Dead and blow all the action in the first episode. You got to set the pieces up, put the players in position, and then you get the action, and it'll feel that much rewarding and that much cooler. So, overall, this was a very good and solid premiere that sets up the rest of what's to come this season beautifully. And I am extremely excited to see what happens in the next 6 episodes. Though I will admit, while things were set up in this episode, there's still a lot of characters we haven't got to. And it makes me wonder how they're going to pull this off in 7 episodes. Because to be honest, it seems like they still need those extra 3 episodes that traditionally 10 episodes season. That's what it seems like to me. but I'm not gonna doubt David Bennett. I'm not gonna doubt the creators here. If they think they could do it in 7 episodes, I trust them. So let's and Stormborn next week looks pretty good from the preview. I will see you next week for Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 2.